Hi, good evening, everyone. This is Kenny Rockman, author and founder of the Child Support Hustle. Let's see if anybody comes on real quick before I get started. I hope everybody's doing good this evening. There's a lot going on. Thanks for liking. Thanks for joining. If you're joining, give me a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, which you probably are if you're here, please subscribe. So I'm gonna jump right into it. Like I try to do, I don't like doing long videos. Like the caption says, the title says there's some things, of course, the media is not saying about Earl Simmons, Mr. Earl Simmons, otherwise known as DMX. First of all, I want to say rest in peace to DMX and send my condolences to his children, his family. Um, it's a great loss. And as well, I'm just going to jump into it. As with most celebrities, after they pass away, the news and social media start buzzing with posting articles about their lives. And most of the time, unfortunately, the negative information outweighs any positivity that is shared. By his own admission, DMX had his own issues that he dealt with from an early age. The media is having no problems with continuing with that news. But what I'm continuing to see on social media is about his child support issue, and that he was locked up for not taking care of his children. And that despite him being a millionaire, he refused to pay $400,000 in child support. And that's what landed him in jail. And I'm here to tell you, I don't know about any of the other stuff that the media is putting out and social media is buzzing about, but I do know about the child support issue. How? Because I spoke to DMX while he was incarcerated on the child support charge, and I filed a complaint with the Federal Office of Child Support Enforcement because of all the problems with the case. Now, my fan is not working, but I'm talking as an advocate, but oh, good evening. I'm talking as an advocate, but also as somebody from the press. Here's my press pass, and I'm a journalist as well. I don't really say that as much, but one thing that I like to do when I do my lives or if I make a post or anything like that, I like to put references with everything that I put out because I want the receiver, you all, to be able to verify what I'm saying. I often say, don't just go by what I'm saying, go and look it up. Try to find 3 or 4 more sources, right? Before you go on what anybody says. Don't just take their word for it. And two, I want you to be able to look it up. If I'm saying anything, go and look it up and make sure that it's true because anybody, especially on social media, can put anything out. So I'm gonna break it down. Okay, so the fact that they're saying that he owed 400,000 because he failed to support his 15 children is not true. In reality, the case that he was illegally jailed for was for one case. On that one case, at the time that he was sentenced to 6 months in jail in July of 24. I'm sorry, July 2015, due to contempt of court for failure to pay. They claimed that the amount owed, and according to many of the news outlets, it was $400,000 spread out. Actually, the current amount owed on the case was $49,643.83. Um, and that was based on $5,000 a month in monthly child support. The arrears owed amounted to $390,901.71. The media is failing to report or failed to report that on that same case, DMX had made payments in the amount of $233,544.54. The light is shining, but here's the document, and there's the seal from the uh, Erie County Department of Human Services. That's the document that shows what he paid and what the arrears were. So in the first place, DMX had filed for a modification to have the $5,000 reduced. A lot of times in these celebrity cases, and we see it all the time, when they're making a lot of money, millions and millions of dollars, the child support is set so high. So when they're not making that same amount of money, they go back and ask for a modification. Well, because of their celebrity status, the judges refuse to modify the amount. So these arrears stack up and stack up. There's no way that he already had paid nearly $235,000 and was still in jail for another $400,000 on one case. Now, I don't know for sure if this was for more than one child, but I know it was for one case. So, as I said, the judge refused to reduce the amount. They did not consider his actual income when he filed for the modification. And parents that are the non-custodial parents, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They refuse to do this, whether you have if you have a celebrity status or in the media or whatever, or if you go to work 9 to 5 and everything, they still don't want to give a modification. So that's the reason why the arrears are so high. DMX also, this is another thing, thought that the case had been closed years prior to him being held in contempt of court. Why? Because on December 6, 2013, the custodial parent in this case signed a binding agreement that stated, and I quote, here's the binding agreement. We have agreed, this isn't everything, but we have agreed upon a settlement in the amount of, I'm not gonna say what the amount was, dollars to be paid directly to myself. This is what she signed. And myself in the form of a wire transfer into my personal bank account. Upon receipt of these funds, I will close the child support case currently active with the Erie County Child Support Collection Unit for Mr. Earl Simmons, non-custodial parent, and lifting the lien on his passport privileges. End quote. He made that payment, but the custodial parent did not hold up on the end of the agreement and failed to close the case. Again, here's the agreement. You can't see it, but the signature is there. After DMX discovered that the case had not been closed as previously agreed, he made a payment on June 1st, 2015. So this was on 13. So all that time, he thought the case had been closed per their agreement. So when he found out June 1st, 2015, when he found out that she didn't close the case, he made a payment. The judge refused to listen to this information because he was denied the opportunity to share the information. So with the contempt of court hearings, as we always talk about, they never ever give you a chance to discuss any evidence. Thank you. This is stuff that happens all the time. He didn't get a chance to discuss anything. They just locked him up. So the judge locked him up anyway on a contempt of charge a month later. Next, he was never served the complaint about this contempt of court hearing because he was never properly served. He was unable to prepare his defense. How many times has that happened? You don't get to prepare because you didn't even know. Erie County, New York violated Section 427 of the Family Court Code under Article Part 5, heading Compliance and Orders, once he was incarcerated. And this was part of our complaint to the Office of Child Support Enforcement. This is the complaint that I filed. This I printed from my email. The judge refused his right to defend himself against the allegations of willfully failing to pay support and therefore purposefully failed to comply with the court-ordered child support. I also stated that the Family Court Section 454(3)(a) is clear that the court system has the burden of proving that he willfully failed to pay court-ordered support. That's in every child support case. He was not permitted to speak in his defense before he was sentenced to 6 months in jail. And this is common across the country. DMX's unconstitutional and illegal sentencing occurred 4 years after the landmark Supreme Court ruling in Turner versus Rogers. If you're new here, if you're not new here, I talk about Turner versus Rogers. I've always talked about it because these states, these jurisdictions, these judges, these fake judges ignore the Supreme Court ruling and just sentence people to contempt of court without their right to due process. Per the U.S. Supreme Court, and I quote, courts may not incarcerate a person for non-payment of fees or fines without first conducting an indigent determination and establishing that failure to pay was willful. In addition, courts must consider incarceration for indigent defendants who are unable to pay, end quote. I'm not saying that DMX was indigent at the time of the sentencing. I'm saying that he was never notified about the hearing to determine his financial status and his willfulness to pay. Had he been notified and offered a hearing, just like the rest of you parents that have been held for contempt of court, the judge would have determined that he thought the case was closed based on presented evidence that he would have been able to show that he, in fact, made the payment in the previous month once he found out that the custodial parent had reneged on the binding agreement. You have to be able to defend yourself when they sue you or they hold you in contempt of court. They charge you for this stuff. This is, and I'm frustrated about the whole thing, like how the media can go and just, destroy something that they know nothing about, and people just run with it. If you're here, click the like button, subscribe if you're new. Appreciate it. So these two factors in DMX's child support contempt of court case that the media failing to include in their articles. And I filed a complaint, like I said, with the enforcement agency up there in DC, which included the appropriate documents. I filed this on September 15, 2015. I received a response from their office from a program specialist. Her name is Judith Albury, Albury, a program specialist from Region 2 of the Federal Office of Child Support Enforcement Agency. The email said in part, and I quote, "It is our intent to forward your request to DCSE for response. Please note that this office does not have access or accountability for your case account. Therefore, our goal is to assist in reconnecting you with the appropriate office or information source for services. Someone from DCSE will contact you regarding your concerns," end quote. Now, I'm gonna have to stop right there to reiterate something that is one of my main complaints with this agency, with the whole system, is the lack of accountability. Here is someone who is supposed to be an overseer of the local child support offices for New York, New Jersey, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands, stating in the email that their office does not have accountability for his case or account. Now, this is one person. Now, picture how many in those 4 territories, how many people have reached out or tried to get some kind of justice in their case and was told that they didn't have any accountability. This is a problem. So if it's not their responsibility to be accountable, whose responsibility is it? And this is why all across the nation, child support caseworkers, magistrates, fake judges, real judges, etc., are continuously violating parents' rights when it comes to this unconstitutional child support system. So I'm asking again, I always ask, contact your legislators and tell them that you want 100% transparency and accountability within these child support agencies. Simply doing this would clean up more than half of the atrocities that occur on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis against parents and children. If we just held them accountable and made them follow the guidelines, not laws, the guidelines, it will clean up a bunch of this mess. So again, that email was received September 15, 2015, the same day I sent the complaint. DMX was released after 2 months of a 6-month prison sentence on September 25th, 2015. When his lawyer was asked about his release, he explained, according to Fox 59, that he'd filed a motion asking the judge to stay the sentence, which was granted. Hi, Marcus. He also said that there had been, quote, some legal issues. Yeah, it was some legal issues. Y'all didn't give him his day in court before they sentenced him. But he wouldn't elaborate. So DMX also told TMZ that, quote, there was an issue with his original conviction. He was never made aware he owed his baby mama any money. So I've explained the situation and showed the documentation in the original complaint that I filed concerning the child support case that led to him being illegally incarcerated in 2015. The false narrative that this father failed to provide for his children and owed all the mothers a total of $400,000 is false. This is a wicked system. And we'll have people believing that parents do not care to provide for their children just because a contract is made between 2 parents and it doesn't go through the government and they don't get their cut of the money. Not everyone with the child support case through the government has that case because they did not take care of their children. Not everyone who has been arrested for allegedly owing child support debt owes what they claim is owed. And because there's nearly zero accountability within the unconstitutional child support system, parents are dragged through the mud because people tasked with overseeing the system refuse to do even the basics when it comes to their jobs. It's time to end this system that has destroyed so many lives. Again, I want to say rest in peace to DMX and my condolences to his family and especially his children. Thank you for tuning in. I know this was quick, but I had to do this for me because I hate to see nonsense. Y'all know how I feel about nonsense, and this was nonsense. So thanks for tuning in. Don't forget, subscribe. If you want to read my articles, you can go to thechildsupporthustle.com. That's it. Y'all take care.